Hi, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and there's a number of yoga postures that are called arm balancing postures. And I like to show you one which I think is a really good introductory arm balancing posture, and it's called crow pose or Bakasana. Bakasana, crow pose. And essentially it's an arm balancing posture, meaning you're going to be balancing right on your hands or your arms. And I'm going to break it down for you so that you can try it on your own. Now you might want to use a few props as you start to move into this posture. And as we move through it, like I said, I'll break it down, and it doesn't matter if you make it all the way to the end of the pose or achieve the posture and reach perfection. That's really not the intention or goal. It's really just giving you the steps so that you can work on them one at a time as you work your way towards that ultimate goal of perhaps balancing on your hands. So let me show you the props that we'll be using for this practice. So you might want to have some blocks or something that you can stack, because actually you're going to be standing on these as you make your way into the pose. Now it could be some yoga blocks like this, or even like some stacked books, or even a big pillow, or just something that's solid that you could actually stand on. And I'll show you how we'll do that in a moment. And then the other thing is maybe just something soft out front. I've got a blanket here. And since we'll be balancing on our hands, sometimes you might tip over, you might lose your balance, and you may want to have something to catch your landing if you happen to fall over. So before I break it down, let me show you the full posture, Bakasana. First, I'll just move my props out of the way so you can see what it looks like without the props, and then I'll break it down so we can do it with the props getting into the pose. And that's Bakasana, crow pose. All right, so let's break it down. So you can see I was literally balancing on my hands, but you can also see perhaps that I had my knees up on the backs of my arms here. So let me show you how you can do that. Now you saw me perhaps get on my tiptoes and really lift my knees nice and high. And you can see that I can actually get my knees high enough so they're above the elbows, right along the tricep, right near the armpit. And that's ideal. And if you're unable to do that for whatever reason, that's why you might want to have a block or two. I'm just going to use one. And so we want it big enough so that you can perch yourself, just like a bird would perch on like a branch. And so we're going to perch ourselves right here, high up on this block, still on my tippy toes, but it lifts me nice and high, or at least gets the knees nice and high. So you can join me here or just watch as we break this down. So using the blocks perches me up, and I'm in this deep crouched down position. Here, I've got my hands out in front. Now you want to spread out your fingers pretty wide here so you have a good base. So let's just start here. High up on your tiptoes, on your perch, knees nice and high. You can see they're just above my elbows, and then your palms on your mat. So this is kind of the first breakdown right here. Now we don't want our hands directly underneath. What we need to do is actually step the hands forward like so. So we have more of an angle in the arm, like so, rather than just directly up and down, out in front. Because that way we can actually lean forward as we move ourselves into the pose. We'll be leaning forward like that, okay? So fingers are wide, hands stepped out in front, perched on our block, knees nice and high. Now for this version, we're going to get the knees as high as we can and kind of on the outside of the arm. Up near the tricep muscle or up by the shoulder would be ideal. And what we'll do is actually squeeze the knee or leg into the arm as the arm also squeezes into the leg. And it just braces yourself. So feel that. So feel the arms and legs squeeze into one another. Then start to lean forward. Now, as I'm leaning forward, rather than keeping the arms straight, they're starting to bend. And they're bending enough where it creates a little shelf. And it's allowing my legs to actually rest right on the triceps, just like this. And you can see my hips have lifted. Let me just break that down one more time. So as I'm moving forward, pushing forward like this, hips are going up, head is going down slightly, elbows are bending, creating like a little table, and I'm actually leaning right on top of the arms. Now for you, this could be the very end of the pose. Just get a sense of what this might feel like for you. Now my arms and legs are still squeezing in because I don't want my elbows to fall out or else I'll fall down. I want to keep everything squeezing inward towards the center. Again, this could be the end of the pose. You never really need to lift your toes off the blocks or off the ground. I'm going to come back. Let's bring this blanket in, just in case I accidentally tip over. So I'm going to do that again, and maybe go a little further. Hands are out front, knees nice and high, pushing forward, hips going up, head is going forward and slightly down. Now I'm going to go a little bit further, and I can actually lift one foot off the block. This could be the end. You might take the risk and go a little further, lifting the other foot. Don't worry if you fall down on your nice pad right here. Something like this. This is actually a good way to kind of practice this. Go ahead and come down to your head and on your hands, and your feet have lifted. So it's okay if you fall over. But you might find that nice balance where you might teeter just enough where you do balance. Let's do it one more time. Up onto the perch, high up on your tiptoes, lift the knees as high as you can. Hands out front, spread out your fingers. Start to lean forward, let the elbow, actually let's get the arms and legs squeezing in towards each other first. There they are. Leaning forward, lifting the hips, head going forward and down, bending the elbows. Let the legs rest on the arms. Going a little bit further, lifting one foot, maybe the other. There's our posture. And then coming down. And there we have it. So that's Bakasana, crow pose. So again, don't worry if you don't make the pose the very first time. Just keep practicing and use all those little broken down steps. And just keep practicing those until you're eventually able to balance and maybe able to do it without the props. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. My name is John. This is MBODY Yoga. Take care.